Woo! Wake up, guys.
They'll keep saying that this bill is about integrity, and that word is always the first lie. Integrity sounds clean. It sounds like pressed shirts and polished shoes and men with solemn faces saying they only want what's best for the Republic. It sounds like something carved into marble above a courthouse door. But integrity in this case means this: prove you belong here. Prove it again. Prove it every time or shut up. That's what this bill does. If you want to register, show your papers. Not your word, not your oath under penalty of perjury, not your tax record, not your service record. Show your documents, certified, matching, and approved. You want to vote in person? Show the right kind of ID. Not just an ID, the right one. The one that satisfies the new federal checklist. And if you want to vote by mail, copy it. In fact, copy it twice. Get the numbers right. Get the formatting right. Hope the copier at the gas station doesn't smudge the ink. Hope the clerk reading it is not afraid of being sued. And hope the database in some distant office does not hiccup your name into suspicion. Hope.
What he's saying actually is kind of on point. This new SAVE Act that they're talking about right here, I got a lot of concerns about it. One, it's always been my position that we want more people, not less, to vote. I do get the consequence of bringing in a bunch of undocuments, having them in your city, your town, or your district, counting the numbers off, and then trying to have your representatives reflective of that number. Well, that's rigging the game. But at the same time, this is not going to fix that problem. So I don't know how much you guys have actually looked into the SAVE Act, how much you guys have gotten into the SAVE Act, but it's asking a whole lot, and it's looking for it's a solution and looking for and in search for a problem. So let's hear what else the gentleman has to say.
Can't produce what they demand. If your birth certificate was lost in a move or a fire, or your name changed when you married, or you never needed a passport because you've never had the money to leave the county line, then the message here is simple. You are less American than a man with a safe full of paperwork.
Mm.
Emma Goldman would have not been surprised by this. She knew the state does not love you. It categorizes you. It files you. It sorts you into acceptable and disposable. And she was deported by the same machinery that now wants to feed voter rolls into immigration databases and call that security. She would recognize the smell of this immediately, because that is what power does when it feels even the slightest tremor beneath its feet. It tightens, it narrows, it turns rights into permits, and it turns citizens into applicants. Baldwin would ask different questions because he wouldn't care about the rhetoric. He would look at who is going to feel the pain of this in their bones. Who pays the price for this? He would see the black grandmother at a kitchen table turning drawers inside out looking for a birth certificate that never quite matched the name she carries. He would see a naturalized citizen who took the oath decades ago. Never imagined they would have to prove it again. He would see the young renter who moves every year and does not have a tidy folder of documents in a fireproof box. He would see the same people who stood on bridges and were beaten for wanting to vote. He would see the same people who paid poll taxes and coins scraped together from wages that were never enough. He would see the same people who have always been told that the rules are neutral while the outcome never is. James Baldwin would say that this country has a habit when it cannot openly deny the franchise it invents paperwork. Thompson would not speak softly about it. He would call it what it is, a slow tightening of the noose wrapped in patriotic language, a nation that claims to fear fraud while quietly building a system that makes participation more brittle, more suspicious, and more conditional. Hunter actually warned us about a police state that does not arrive with tanks. It arrives with forms, copies, with the quiet understanding that the safest thing a local election worker can do is reject one more registration rather than risk a lawsuit. Fear trickling down from Washington into the hands of county clerks, until the safest answer becomes no.
So yeah, I think honestly he got it on that one. I think honestly he's I think he's on point. So there's a few things with this. One, there's a lot of fear mongering going on. I hear a lot of fear mongering in what the man's saying, and I'm not knocking him. I'm not discounting what he's saying. My take on it is what he's saying is right, and for the people who are not looking at it, thinking that it's only going to benefit or impact certain communities, you're wrong about that. At the end of the day, it's going to end up coming to bite everybody. Now, the difference for me, just so I could be 100% honest about this, is my life has been my life. There has been people been hating on me for whatever reason, for a variety of reasons. Uh, Most of it not dealing with race. I don't want you guys to hop in there and go crazy off race, but just the life that I've had, I'm not gonna see. I'm gonna see little to no change, right? So it may be a little bit more overt or a little bit more out there, and it's not as if you haven't felt the same energies. So it is what it is. But I do think that it's gonna end up coming back and biting the people who feel like it's gonna protect them the most. So, and as a conservative person, I'm like, man, you guys don't see this coming, but it's not my battle. I think it's his battle. So let's go ahead and see what else you got to say.
No to the form that looks incomplete. No to the ballot that looks off. No to the voter who can't quite satisfy the checklist. And every
Yes.
no falls hardest on the people who already live closest to the edge. This bill is not about hordes of non citizens stealing elections. The data doesn't support that fever dream. What it does support is this truth that when you add friction to democracy, when you add paperwork and penalties and suspicion, the powerful glide through untouched and the vulnerable get cut. The wealthy have lawyers, the stable have time, the comfortable have passports. The rest have hope and a work schedule and a drawer full of mismatched documents. And if you build a system that only works cleanly and for the tidy and the affluent, do not pretend that it is neutral. Call it what it is: a narrowing, a filtering, a quiet culling of the electorate. The vote is not supposed to be something you qualify for, like a mortgage. It is not supposed to be a prize for those who can afford the administrative burden. It is the floor of a republic, the bare minimum. A promise that if you live here, if you work here, if you bleed here, you get to speak here. When a government looks at millions of its own citizens and decides that the risk of a nearly non-existent problem justifies placing new barriers in front of them, it's not caution. It's calculation. It is a decision about whose voice is expendable. And here's the part that should make your fucking hand shake. It will not start with you. You will have your passport, your ID, a neat stack of paperwork. You will glide through the checkpoint and think that all of this is overblown until one day.
That's funny because I was literally just saying that. That's literally what I was just thinking. Like, I mean, it always feels like it starts with the others. It always feels like it's going to start with the most evil of the immigrants, the most evil of the illegals. And then it comes to your neighborhood. Then it comes to your kids and your uncles and your sisters and your mothers. As we've been seeing with ICE right now, is that they don't really too much care who they snatch out the car if they feel like you don't belong here. So the voting situation is going to become the same way. When you walk into that booth, if they feel like you're voting too left or you're voting for the wrong reason or your vote is irrelevant for whatever reason, they're going to silence you. We'll see. I think this is a strong country, and I'm going to sit back and watch the firework. I do think Donald Trump is going to test y'all. I think he's going to test. He already tested you on January 6th, and you failed miserably. So I think he's going to test you again, and I'm going to sit back and watch the fireworks. I am resting. I will be back mid 2028. Let's finish this.
the rules change. Till one day your name doesn't quite match, until one day your document expires. One day you find yourself standing at a locked door being told politely, albeit professionally, that you have not satisfied the requirements. Because that's how it happens. Not in one dramatic act, in increments, in administrative updates, in legislation that sounds reasonable until you trace its consequences to the kitchen tables and gas station copiers and county offices where real people live. This country once made people count bubbles on a page to prove they could read. It once demanded payment to cast a ballot. It once beat citizens on a bridge because they dared insist their voice mattered. Now it just asks for documents. Different tools, same instinct. If you believe the right to vote is sacred, then you do not build new obstacles around it unless the threat is overwhelming and proven. If the threat is not overwhelming and not proven, and you build those obstacles anyway, then you are not protecting a goddamn thing. You are deciding who democracy belongs to. And if we accept that quietly, if we nod along because it does not hit us yet, if we comfort ourselves with the fact that our paperwork is in order, then we are complicit in the narrowing of the very thing we claim to cherish. So call this what it is, because it's not salvation. It is codified suspicion, and it is fear dressed in the American flag. It is a test of whether we still believe that the vote belongs to the people, or whether we are ready to hand it back to the gatekeepers. And if we choose the gatekeepers. If we decide that a stack of documents matter more than the living, breathing voice of a citizen, then we should stop pretending that we are safeguarding America. My friend, we are burying it. Defined still death.
Man, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. He said a lot on that. And let me go ahead and give my honest opinion. I think he was right on 90% of the things that he said, y'all. I think he's coming at it from the wrong perspective, and I do think he's doing a lot of fear mongering. But society, democracy is not up to the government to protect. It's not up to the police to protect. It's up to you. And I think that was his main point. When I listened to him, a lot of the things, he sees the same dangers looming that I see. Right? Well, how are you going to sit there and say that this man is not going to try another January 6th when he's already tried it once and got away with it, and the Supreme Court came back and said, yeah, a president can do whatever he feels like is best for the nation with complete immunity, which means, in short, even if I try another January 6th, even if I go through another January 6th and it doesn't work, I could just say I did it for the good of the country, and because of that, I'm immune. Now let's let the attorneys argue it out, and because he's 80, he ain't got to worry about it. I guarantee you any reasonable person would take that bet, but maybe I'm wrong. And if I am wrong, hop in the comments. We could bang it out there. Other than that, guys, man, I did enjoy this video. I appreciate you coming through to the channel, checking out the new Anthony Lynn Unfiltered. Guys, hop down right beneath this video down there and do all the social media stuff. And I will catch you guys on the next one.